الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله.
وعن علي وعن عثمان بالكرم والآل والصحب ثم التابعين فهم أهل التقى والنقى والحلم والكرم يا رب بالمصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ما مضى يا واسع الكرم.
الحمد لله. Àti ìyá wa Tèmi Tóore Ọ̀tẹ́sànyà lára àmọ́ mi inshallah akújímọ̀ ní. Àti ìyá wa Ọmọlára Gègé lára àmọ́ mi inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ìyá wa wá kí alájà Assalamu alaikum alájà Bikis láti London.
Amele kí ìyá wa alájà wa wókò ní ìran ìlàlẹ̀ àmọ́ mi inshallah. Ìyá wa Miriam Giwa Ìfúnmọ̀lá. Àwọn guest wa kíkà lẹ́kọ́ nìyẹn. Ìyá wa tí a tọ̀wọ̀tọ̀ dárúkọ wọn ìyá wa Sadiya Oníkì Abdulaziz ìlàlẹ̀ àmọ́ mi inshallah. Ọlọ́run jẹ́ àrí wọn pẹ́. Kí àwọn ìyá wa pẹ́ kí á rí sí ìfúnná wa ní ìyá àlìfáàtì ọlọ́run jẹ́ àrí náà pẹ́. Àlàáfíà ara ọlọ́run bá ṣe fún bàbá ọlọ́run jù ọlọ́run ìlàlẹ̀ àmọ́ mi inshallah. Wọ́n fa náà mọ̀kánà àníyà. Bákan náà ìyá wa Ètù Savage láti London ọlọ́run jẹ́ àrí wọn pẹ́. A bá ń pè wọ́n ni wọ́n máa ń jẹ́ wa ni wọ́n máa ń dá wa lóhùn. Àti àlejò akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ náà ṣe á retí ọ̀gbọ̀n ìdìbò aláyọ̀. Ẹ bá ṣí ẹ̀ ẹ bá fi àwọn èèyàn wọlé insha Allah. Insha Allah. Ọlọ́run jẹ́ àjọ láti pẹ́ ọlọ́run bu ọlọ́run. Àti ìyá wa Rashida láti Canada. Insha Allah. Inshallah, the cultural confusion and religion and impact in raising our children in Western world. Níta àsìkò àtàwà yìí, òun náà la fẹ́ gbójú inshallah. Ọlọ́run tí ó fún wa ní ti last month, ní àkùsọ nírọ̀rùn. Eléyìí náà, tí Ọlọ́run jẹ́ àṣẹ pẹ̀lú sẹ́lẹ̀mù sẹ́lẹ̀mù. Inshallah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Adada alki waridona wasinnata arishi wa midada kalmati. Alhamdulillah ala kulli. Alhamdulillah barakatuh. Alhamdulillah qabla kulli ali. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Alhamdulillah khadada alki. Alhamdulillah warida nafsi. Alhamdulillah adada kalmati. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Raditu billahi rabba wa bil islam dina wa bil muhammad nabiyya wa rasulan wa bil qur'ani imaman wa dalilan وبالقبلتين وبالمؤمنين إخوة. الحمد لله الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا صراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Thank you, Allah. We praise Allah, the omnipotent, the masterful, the Lord of the day of accountability. We praise Allah, we adore Allah. Every day of our life is Allah. We thank Him for giving us another opportunity to come together today, to come and interact, to come and educate, to come and inform our people. Inshallah, may Allah treat this as an act of ibadah from us. Inshallah. We'll be listening to our guest lecturer today from Nigeria, from London, and from Canada, inshallah. We'll be listening to our dear mother of Al-Jannah, Al-Haja, Sadia Abdullah Aziz, the wife of our amiable, capable, our role model in Islam, Al-Imam, Al-Sheikh Al-Mubajjal Al-Karim, Al-Imam Mulike Adamallah Ayataw wa Dawlataw. We have opportunity of listening to our mother today. Also, we have our mother in the house, our erudite scholar, par excellence, illegal luminary, Al-Haja, Bliki Safi from London. Yawa eba gbe phone yen sókè báyìí. Yal Jannah dada. Bákan náà, we have our mothers in the house. Our erudite scholar par excellence from Canada, from Bay region. May Allah in infinite mercy continue to increase you in knowledge and understanding. Our topics for today, for discussion for today, is cultural confusion and religion, the impact on our children in this side of the world. America, Canada, Germany, the global world. The confusion in culture and may Allah religion. Agbára Ọlọ́run lé ní a máa fi gbogbo ẹ̀ wọnú ara wọn. Bí àwọn yàrá bá ṣe ń bá sọ òyìnbó la máa sọ Yorùbá nítorí gbogbo ẹ̀ náà la máa sọ pọ̀, èdè méjèèjì náà la máa sọ pọ̀ inshallah. Inshallah bi qudratillah. And when the time comes, táwọn yàrá bá ti sọ̀rọ̀ dáadáa tán, àsìkò máa wà fún question and answer táwọn yẹn wọ́n máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ inshallah. Láì ní fi àkókò ṣòfò, a kọ́ lọ sọ́dọ̀ àwọn ìyá wa Sadiat Onike Abdullah Aziz inshallah. The first question is, what does it mean to raise a children? Kí la ń pè ní pé kí ni ká tọ́ ọmọ gangan láàrin ìṣẹ́jú 5 sí 7 inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Adúpẹ́ fún Ọlọ́run.
Alhamdulillah.
Adúpẹ́ fún Ọlọ́run ọba tó dá èyí, tó dá wa sí.
Network.
So the topic before me, raising children in Islam. If you look at what children means to us in Islam, children are a source of joy and delight. They make life sweet, bring more sustenance into families, and give hope. A father sees that his children as a future hope of help and support. Also, the mother sees consolation and joy in life. For all these hopes, children, and giving them a sound training and education for life so that they can become active and constructive elements in the society. A source of goodness for parents, community, and the society as a whole. So if there is education and good upbringing for these children, then we are going to have all these benefits. But if the upbringing and education of these children are neglected, then what do they become? They become bad character. They become a burden on parents and the family. and they also become a burden on the community and humanity at large. So it is important in every family for us to bring up our children. And in bringing up our children, Islam has laid out all the rules and regulations that we're supposed to follow. The Prophet ﷺ pointed out some things for us too, that while we are raising up our children, we should ensure we love them. We should ensure we show them a lot of compassion. We should ensure we allow them to grow up in a community, in an atmosphere of love. What we also make them grow in love and learn to love others. In terms of, we need to give them balanced education. Balance it up with the education they need to live in this world, and also the education of the hereafter, which has to do with the religion. So the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that when you are bringing up your children, instruct your children to pray when they are 7, and teach them if they 10. Of course, the child that you have brought up from 7 years to continue to pray as you are praying, to continue to perform ablution as you are performing ablution. What do you think will happen to that child when that child is 10 years old? By 10 years old, that will be 3 years of constant practice. Seeing you do it and he's doing it, this child will learn and will be able to do it well. So there will be no need for a cane. A parent who does not do all these things for the child, that parent is liable to Allah. So we are enjoined by Islam to bring up our children in the way we want them to grow, in the way that they will see us as role models. Whether we teach them or not, they are watching us. We should know we are also role models to our children. So we should bring up our children, follow the Islamic rules and regulations, show them love, show them compassion, and let them grow, let them be able to love others, let them know who they are, let them know that wherever they find themselves, their identity, their true identity as a Muslim should not be emphasized. So we must encourage, we must as Muslims. This is how they will be able to live with people from other cultures and see everybody as the same. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself told us that he created us among his signs, and that his creation of the heavens and the earth and the diversity of your tongues and colors. For in this be
Inshallah, network.
doing how we are doing it, the fear of Allah, we put it in them and we pray with them. They see us pray and they learn it. These children will come out better. These children will come out as role models. So let them grow in love so that they can also love others and be able to tolerate others. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Òun náà láti gbọ́ lẹ́nu ìyá wa yẹn wípé bí a ṣe ń tọ́mọ látara Islam àti kéèkì là ń pè ní ká tọ́mọ gangan. Alhamdulillah, how we go to Alaja Kewushola from Canada. What are the cultural perspectives of raising children? Cultural perspective of raising children. Kí la lè pè ní pé culture wa bá a ṣe ń tọ́mọ, kí ni perspective tí culture fi wò ó wípé kí á tọ́mọ gangan. Àgbọ̀yìn o, ẹ ọ mú tara yín, ẹ wo volume yín yẹn. Ẹ sọ̀rọ̀, Assalamu alaikum. Àgbọ̀yìn. Àgbọ̀yìn rárá. Ẹ lè wọlé, ẹ wo volume yẹn dáadáa, àbí kẹ wọlé kẹ jáde padà tí yóò bá ṣe. Alájà wa Biliki Savage ẹ bá dáhùn ẹ̀, the cultural perspective of raising children. Alájà àgbọ̀yìn, ẹ wọlé kẹ jáde padà, ẹ wo volume yẹn, àgbọ̀yìn rárá, ẹ̀yin bá ń gbọ́ mi. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, 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 Rabbil Alamin. Adúpẹ́ fún Ọlọ́run. We give glory to Almighty Allah. We thank Allah for today. We adore Him, and we're grateful for giving us the opportunity to be able to do this program. What are the cultural perspective? First of all, what is culture? Because I think it's important for us to start from that perspective. Culture consists of belief and customs, acts of particular society, group, or a particular place of time. According to Dr. Jim Jones, it is a learned behavior passed down from generation to society. Culture is part of identity, the signature of a society of a particular society. And it's important for us to start from there because the cultural perspective of bringing of children, we're Yorubas, we're Muslims. And first and foremost, our Islamic identity is known because we practice we're practicing a Muslim. But at the same time, we do have our cultural beliefs, our cultural understanding. The cultural perspective for me is quite important in raising children because this is where, as Yorubas, I like to emphasize that because for me, whatever we do in this Western world, yes, we're Muslim, but we're known as Yoruba at the same time. And the Yoruba culture places the essence of respect for our elders in our community and family. It is very important when we're saying we're Muslim. How do we combine the respect elements within the cultural perspective? And it's something that, as a Muslim, I know as a Yoruba person that the family is the essence of, is the center of everything we do. Islam places great emphasis on family. Islam places great emphasis on family. Our culture places great emphasis on family. So in bringing up a child, like our mother says, in our family perspective, the love aspect, the education aspect is important. But culturally, we also have to emphasize the respect within the family, the love within the family, making sure that our children understand how their cultural identity is important as well. As a Yoruba person, it is very important for us to recognize the value system because the value system is also part of our culture. It's wherever we are in the world, whether we live in America, whether we live in London, whether we live in Canada, we are Yorubas, and our value system is first and foremost. Our Yoruba ni lakaye, you know, it is something that we take consonant for. As Muslim, humanity is the center of what we do. We have that in our culture. You have to do the right thing when you're bringing up children, teaching them the righteousness, teaching them the right way. That cultural perspective also emphasize that, which is why when they say omoluabi in Yoruba, it is very, very important. When they say you're omoluabi, that means you honor your integrity is very, very intact. As a Muslim, that is part of what we've been asked to do. Being righteousness, making sure that we teach our children the right from the wrong, making sure they know doing the right thing is important, making sure they're compassionate, making sure they do the right thing to their neighbors, to their friends. As a Muslim, that is part of where Omolua becomes into that. Now, our mother quite rightly said that we train our child so that when they're older, they don't become a burden to society. In our cultural elements, you know, having a sound education, having the right means of livelihood is very sound. If you're bringing up a child, you have to train them to have the right education and to make sure they are not a burden to society. They are not a burden to society. My mother said that because it's I Alapama Shishe is not known as society. You know, you have to, if you don't have education, you train to have a job. So people can know that is your source of income. Culturally, That is what we emphasize. And that's where our value system is very important. The value system that we brought up over the generation, that we are brought up to have the right education, to be trained properly, to be righteousness, to have the right attitude in life. Now, culturally also, it is also important as Yoruba to understand that, it's not just doing the right thing, but having the right dignity to make sure that people know that you're a dignified person. It is very, very important when we're bringing up children. They value ọmọ tó níyì ni, ọmọlúwàbí ni, ọmọ tó ní làákàyè ni, ọmọ tó níṣẹ́ ni. That's part of our culture. That is part of our culture. And that is emphasized in Islam. From when you're born, your parents have to give you the right education, the right knowledge, the right understanding, so that you know from right to left, you do the right thing. It is very important as parents that we have the right education to bring up children rightly in a society, and the culture interwoven with Islam. So I like to stop there for now.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen for the beautiful analysis of the cultural perspective in raising children. Jazakumullah khairan ma. Kí Ọlọ́run bá san yín lẹ́san rí. Assalamu alaikum Alájà Akéwùsọlá. Ó ní ó jáde o.
Salam alaikum. Let me just add to the fact that when I say cultural identity, it is important that children know their identity. That is so important. I was listening to a program when I was doing research to this program. A Professor Janice Olawoye, who is a U.S. citizen, married to a Nigerian, and it was emphasizing the very importance of cultural, that we must teach children not to forget their roots. No. They must not forget their roots. They must know who they are. They must know their identity.
No.
And part of their cultural perspective is being able to speak their language. And that's part of what education is all about. So it's not just the Western education, but giving them the cultural education as well. That, the fact that we have children born in the Western world does not mean we should not teach them our language. We have cases where now in some towns in Lagos, children are born and bred in Nigeria, but they can't even speak the Yoruba. So we need to have that perspective, that the cultural perspective of raising children is just as important as bringing them children Islamically, so that we must not lose that. The two goes together. I was quite moved because the professor was saying that he is married to Nigeria. The children are born and raised in Nigeria. Even though now they live in the US, they can speak Yoruba. And he was quite proud that they were able to speak Yoruba, and at the same time, they have their cultural identity.
Alhamdulillah, adúpẹ́ púpọ̀ lọ́wọ́ yín. Wọ́n ní òdòdó tó bá gbàgbé orísun ẹ̀ ó máa gbẹ ni. Ibi gbọ́dọ̀ gbàgbé bí tá a ti wá. Gbọ́dọ̀ wá dé. Yorùbá máa ń pòwe kan tó tún bí òwe ẹ̀yìn yàrá tí wà lórí wọ́n ní adé kò dèrè. Ó dé lóyìnbó tán wá ń sọ pé àgàtù àṣekínní kan tí ò dẹ̀ lè sọ Yorùbá, táwọn ọmọ ò lè sọ Yorùbá, tí wọ́n mọ ẹ̀ka alẹ́ Ọlọ́run bá ṣe dáadáa fún yín. A má gbàgbé pé ká kọ́ ọmọ wa, because àwọn Chinese èdè ni wọ́n fi sọ̀rọ̀, àwọn Italy, gbogbo àwọn ìlú bẹ́ẹ̀ èdè wọn wá, a máa ń gbàgbé Yorùbá ni. Tẹ́ bá tẹ̀ ní Yorùbá tó gbúlà báyìí, òyìnbó ni ó sọ sí kò tẹ̀ ní fẹ́ sọ Yorùbá rárá. Kí Ọlọ́run ṣàánú wa. Assalamu alaikum ma.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. Ọ̀dọ̀ yín mà pé kí a tó padà wá sí ọ̀dọ̀ ìyá wa Oníkẹ́, inshallah. Challenging as raising the children. Bí ó ṣe wà challenging tó, what knowledge should a parent acquire to successfully raise a children? Òbí náà tó fẹ́ tọ́mọ, irú òbí wo náà ni yóò bímọ tí ó rọ̀ mọ́ tọ́? Bó ṣe wà challenges láti wá raise ọmọ. Òbí tó fẹ́ tọ́mọ náà, irú òbí wo ni? Ẹ̀kọ́ wo náà lòbí yẹn náà gbọ́dọ̀ ní? Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Adada halki, warida nafsi, wazinata arshi, wa midada kalimati. wassalatu wassalam ala Muhammad Rasulullah, habibina wa sayyidina wa maulana Muhammad wa ala ali wa ashabi ajma'in. Birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad salata kuna jina fiha min jamili hawali wal afati wa taqtila biha min jami sayhati wa tarfa'una bi indaka ala darajati wa tubaliguna bi asali gayati min jamili arati fil hayati wa ba'da al mamati. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. All glory, all honor, all adoration are due to Almighty Allah, the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings, the owner of the day of judgment, the Lord of the throne. And we seek for our last blessings on our holy Prophet Muhammad. We seek him to grant us understanding so that whatever we say here today will be useful and will be acceptable from us all as an act of ibadah. So the question posed to me is challenging to raise a child. So what are the knowledge that somebody needs to acquire to raise a child? I am just going to take it from where my mommy Alaja Sadiat Enike, from where she stopped, because she has mentioned a couple of things that somebody needs to have to successfully raise a child. So first and foremost, raising a child, nurturing a child, or rearing children is the process of promoting and supporting social, physical, emotional, and intellectual development of that child from infancy up to adulthood. It's a great work. It encompasses every aspect of life. So for somebody to be able to teach someone, that person must know what he or she wants to teach. For me to teach a child a religion, I myself must know about that religion very well. The person must be versed in whatever the person wants to teach. Everybody, every parent wants um, to raise a successful children. But what is the ultimate goal in raising children? The ultimate goal is for them to be able, to grow, to be pious person, to be righteous Muslim and Muslimah, and then above all, to gain wealth and gain the hereafter. That is the ultimate goal. So that was what our mommy said, that we should be able to balance it out. We should give the Western education as well as give the Islamic education. So, so, so it's very important. And then if somebody wants to teach or if you want to train a child, you should be ready to answer questions. You shouldn't be defensive, because when you're training somebody, it is important for that person to ask questions. So the children are going to ask lots of questions. Be ready to answer those questions, to give explanation on what you are training. That's another quality that somebody must have to successfully raise a child. Another thing is, I would like us to know that, children, when they are young, they crave attention. They crave our own attention. But when they grow old, we crave their attention. But when they need that attention, when they are craving that attention, we should be able to give that attention, as at when needed. If you fail to give the attention, if you fail to show that you care, if you allow the internet world to take the place of your parents' age, then you will fail in raising a successful child. You will fail in raising a pious child. You will fail in raising a righteous Muslim and Muslimah, as the case may be. So therefore, let us create time for our children. When you want to teach a child, you should be able to create time for that children. I mean, for that child. Another thing is, you need to be able to appreciate these children. They are young, they are pure. So they were born with a pure heart. They don't know anything. So they're going to learn a lot from you. They're going to acquire a lot from you. So you should be able to appreciate them. If you teach them a little thing and they emulate you, or they are able to give back what you train them, you should appreciate them for every little thing that they do. No matter how little it is something, so that they know that you care for them, and what they do makes meaning to you. Another thing is, for you to be able to successfully raise a child, you should be a good role model yourself. So, for instance, if you are training a child that not to steal, and then you find yourself, dipping your hands in the pocket of your husband or in the pocket of your wife, taking the money without his or her awareness, you are contradicting what you are teaching the child. So you should lead by example. So you should be able to stand by your word. You should be able to stand by whatever you're teaching the child. And I think another thing is imbibe moral in these children. So you imbibe moral, you imbibe culture, and then you imbibe religion, sex, principles, and philosophies in these children from the word go. So let them know that this is the religion, this is what it teaches, this is what you are going to do, this is how to go about it. So try to differentiate between religion and culture as much as possible where the time permits or where it is possible for you to do so. Another thing is, when you are training a child, so you should know that you are training this child to be useful to his or herself, to be useful to the nation, to be useful to the cause of Allah, and to be useful in the hereafter, to be the coolness of your eyes. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that, some of among the seven causes that is going to grant shade to on the day of Al Qiyamah is that you that grew up with the worship of Allah. So it's very important to train a child, the worship of Allah, how to go about it. So those are some of the qualities that you should be able to have to be able to successfully train a child. I'll stop there for now.
Alhamdulillah. Ẹ̀yin ya wa, ẹ máa bá a fi irú díẹ̀díẹ̀. Ní àwọn ìyá wa kan wà ní orí kíní tí wọ́n jẹ́ grandma. Ẹ̀yin náà lẹ́sìn ní kí a máa wo cultural kíní náà, kí a má gbàgbé Yorùbá lé wa. Káàtẹ̀ òbẹ́ ìyá wa náà ṣe lè sọ Yorùbá náà sí dáadáa. Pàápàá àwọn ìyá wa Savage àti ìyá wa Kéwúṣọlá. Ẹ̀yin lẹ́ni kí a má gbàgbé, ẹ má bá a fi irú káwo Yorùbá kíní náà fi rí. Inshallah, a lọ sí ọ̀dọ̀ ìyá wa. Why the confusion in culture and religion? Kí ni ìyàpẹ̀nu tó wà láàrin culture wa àti religion? Ṣé ìkàtọ̀ náà ni àbí kí ni confusion tí ó wà ń bẹ̀? Ìyàwó oníkẹ́ni ń bá gbójú eléyìí, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, 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 Rabbil Alamin. If we look at our religion, it has to do with us living our lives according to the rules and regulations of Allah. And if we look at culture, Allah Himself told us that He created us in different tongues, in different languages. He said it himself, "Oh mankind, we created you from male and female and made you into nations and tribes, that you may know each other. Verily, the noblest of you in the sight of God is the most deeply conscious of Him." This is Surah Hujurat, verse 13. Ọlọ́run ọba náà ló lóun mọ̀ọ́mọ̀ dá wa sí ẹ̀yà ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ tó lóun dá wa sí. Ó lóun tún mọ̀ọ́mọ̀ dá wa sí orílẹ̀-èdè ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ tó lóun dá wa sí. If we look at culture and we look at religion, what is the place of culture in religion? Islam allows religion to take its course. Every religion, every culture that Allah has created, He said He did it purposely for us to know ourselves, which means He allows us to identify ourselves as Yoruba, as Italian, as Chinese, as Igbo, as Hausa. He created that among His signs. But also, culture in Islam is recognized as a source of law. It is one of the legal maxims in Islam that when rules are being made, the culture of that place is taken into consideration. That when you're giving a ruling for any community, the culture of that community is taken into consideration. When Islam looks at culture, Islam views culture in two different ways. Culture is divided into two. First, the one that has to do with worship and the one that has to do with social. Under anything that has to do with every there is prohibition. If you do anything that has to do with worship within your culture, oh, pour palm wine here, put oil here, don't allow this one to touch the ground. All those forbidden things, all those things that have to do with culture, Islam says the rule there is prohibition. But when it comes to the social affairs, is it marriage? Is it your dressing? Is it the food you eat? Everything under social Islam gives space for culture. Everything about your culture that does not negate what Quran and Sunnah stipulates is allowed in Islam. So for any ruling to be taken, for any fatwa to be given, the culture of that area is taken into consideration. That is why Imam Malik was asked some questions. And he said, I cannot give you an answer unless I come to your environment to see what obtains in your environment. Hello. So we are Muslims. We see ourselves as then as Yorubas, our cultural identity is legal for us to also emulate, for us to also follow, for us to also put in the hands of our children. They must not forget their identity. We as role models of our children, we must not forget our identity. The prophet ate dates because he was an Arabian. The prophet wore jalabia because he was an Arabian. If the prophet were to come from Yoruba land, the prophet will wear agbada. If the prophet was to come from south of Nigeria, the prophet would do with what our culture obtains, what our culture allows, which must not be negated by what Quran and Sunnah. If whatever we have in our culture negates Quran and Sunnah, for instance, the European culture of hugging, kissing opposite sex, these are part of culture that are prohibited because Islam will not allow hugging and kissing between man and woman who are not mahrams. Somebody you can get married to, Islam prohibits it. Now, if you go to Kenya, what do? They cut live animals and they suck the blood. Islam prohibits this. So if whatever is in your culture that Islam does not prohibit, it goes along well with Islam. Your food, your dressing. A woman wants to wear a robe and buba. Let our children know all these are cultural values. All these are cultural values we must imbibe in our children because it is important for you to have an identity. Allah said He created us in tribes, in nations, forced to know ourselves. So we must not lose our cultural identity. Eating amala is Islamic. Because the prophet was to be a Yoruba man, he would have eaten amala. So don't let us take our children and invite them, putting other culture into them. Let them know this variety of culture. That is part of Allah's rahmah, that He created us this way. And our identity we must not lose. Our language we must not lose it. Allah brought out Quran. He sent messengers to different parts of the world. And He spoke to those messengers. Brought the Quran, gave it to Muhammad sallallahu
alaihi
wasallam.
The prophet was an Arabian. Allah spoke with all His prophets in their different languages. So it is the onus is on us to ensure that our children understand our language. They should not lose their cultural identity. Islam does not say you shouldn't have your cultural values. Your cultural values, your cultural ethics that do not negate what Quran and Sunnah says is allowed in Islam. So there is no controversy. Culture is used as a source of law in Islam. So there is no controversy. It is only those things that negate what Quran and Sunnah says that Islam frowns against. So everything about culture that goes along with what Quran and Sunnah says. Islam teaches compassion. Islam teaches justice. Islam teaches fairness. Islam teaches equity. The same thing, our cultural values teach all these things. As Yorubas, we do not allow people to cheat. We value honesty. We value truthfulness. We value people having compassion for others. Come along, no arawa Yoruba dúró fún yẹn. Ká ní respect, ká máa sòótọ́ Yoruba dúró fún yẹn. Gbogbo nǹkan yẹn náà ni Islam náà dúró fún. Ṣùgbọ́n gbogbo nǹkan tó bá wà nínú ẹ̀sìn wa, tó bá wà nínú ẹ̀sìn wa, tí ẹ̀sìn wa tó lóun lòdì sí nínú ṣíṣe àbáṣepọ̀ wa, ìṣe ìbílẹ̀ wa tó jẹ́ culture wa, àwọn nǹkan tó bá jẹ́ pé Islam wà lóun lòdì sí, tó tako Quran, tó tako Sunnah Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, àwọn nǹkan yẹn nínú ọ̀rọ̀ ìgbésí ayé wa òun ni Islam lóun lòdì sí. Islam ò ní ká má jẹ Yorùbá, Islam ò ní ká má kọ́ ọmọ wa lédè wa, Islam ò ní ká ọmọ wa má mọ oúnjẹ wa jẹ, Islam ò ní ká má mọ gbogbo bá a ṣe ń ṣègbésí ayé. Ibikíbi tá a bá ti bára wa ká mọ̀ pé a gbọ́dọ̀ sọra wa nù síbẹ̀, ká rántí ọmọ ẹni tí a ṣe, ká rántí ibi tá a ti wá. Islam fẹ́ràn sí yẹn.
Naam, alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.
Naam,
That's ridiculous.
orúkọ yín àti ẹtí pé.
Orúkọ tèmi ní Ájò Mọ̀tẹ́mọ́dọ̀ Mọ̀tẹ́mọ́dọ̀ láti Washington DC. Àti àwọn màmá wa oníkẹ́ láti Nàìjíríà lọ́ọ̀bà àdókò fún ọlọ́run àlẹ́ rẹ̀ ní. Àti màmá wa Savage láti United Kingdom. Ọlọ́run bá sùn náà ní ẹ̀sán dáadáa. Wọ́n á fẹ́ àsìkò yẹn náà àti fi pé alájà ọ̀rọ̀ kíra láti Canada kí ọlọ́run kó adó ti ẹ̀yìn náà.
Amina ya Allah.
Very quick question for the three guest lecturers. Number one, fún màmá wa alájà oníkẹ́, I might like to digress a little bit. Àṣà kan wà níbi táwọn máa ń ṣe ní àtiwá rí pé ó ti ń rampart ní Nàìjíríà náà kí ọlọ́run kó dànù lórí rẹ̀. Òun náà ni àṣà single mother. Kí ni mo rí fún ẹni tó jẹ́ single mother láti lè gbé ìgbésí ayé tó rọrùn? Because níbi táwa wà yìí, ẹni tó bá jẹ́ single mother, èyí tó wà ní abẹ́ òfin lọ́dọ̀ ìjọba láti fi ṣàánú obìnrin bẹ́ẹ̀ financially. But ìṣẹ́mọ̀ tí ò bá sì sówó tó fi ṣe kí làákàyè má ṣe wépọ̀. Kí ni ìmọ̀ràn yín fún àwọn tó bá jẹ́ single mother? Apart from níbi èyí fún àwọn tí wọ́n fi àwọn ojúmọ́ yìí ló bímọ, ojú méjì tó wà lọ. Kí ni ìmọ̀ràn yín fún wọn? Lóní fún màmá wa nífẹ̀ẹ́. Now, màmá wa Savage, ìbéèrè mi fún yín ni pé a rí pé àṣà náà ní ìtẹ̀wọ̀n yẹn náà pé kí wọ́n máa san child support. Obìnrin tí ń gba child support kí ni ìmọ̀ràn tẹ ní fún ọmọ ẹni bẹ́ẹ̀ láti lè rí orí ọmọ bẹ́ẹ̀ tọ́, because a rí pé àṣà wa ní Amẹ́ríkà bíi ni pé wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ àbí child support they believe má ti bímọ kan báyìí nítorí ní láti wọ́ọ̀rì láti fẹ́ don't rely on the child support. Kí ni ìmọ̀ràn yín fún orí ẹni bẹ́ẹ̀ láti wá rí ọmọ yẹn tó fún ẹ̀ lè ní ìgbésí ayé tó rọrùn, because orí ọmọ tí òbí bá ti ń ṣe child support fún ọkọ kì í gbọ́dọ̀ lórí ọmọ bẹ́ẹ̀ tó dẹ̀ máa ń jẹ́ ohun tó máa ń ṣe ìpalára fún ìdàgbàsókè àti ìgbésí ayé ọmọ yẹn. Now, màmá wa Rashida ní tó ní ìṣe pẹ̀lú ní ni pé ọkọ tó wá ń sanwó ẹ̀, ọkọ tó ń san child support, ìjọba àti child support tó ti pẹ́ lórí ẹ̀tọ́ ìyàn gẹ́gẹ́ bí bàbá ìwọ́n obìnrin náà máa lọ child support. It depends on the nature of your job and your income. Ṣé orú òbí bẹ́ẹ̀ kí ni ìmọ̀ràn tẹ̀yìn ní fún tí orú ọmọ bẹ́ẹ̀ tó lè ní ìgbésí ayé tó rọrùn gẹ́gẹ́ bí experience tí náà láti ìlú Canada? So these are the things that I have for now. Thank you. Masalam.
Alhamdulillah. So yawa nike bismillah.
Alhamdulillah. Single mother. Obìnrin tó jẹ́ pé ó fẹ́ dá ọmọ tọ́ sí òbí ọkọ. What does Islam say about this? Islam does not allow, does not encourage single motherhood. Islam encourages marriage. Islam encourages marriage. Islam encourages young women to be married. Islam frowns against the issue of single motherhood because it gives room for a lot of atrocities, for a lot of sins to come in. Even if a lady is a widow or a divorcee, Islam encourages that such a lady should remarry. It is only when you are old that you can say, okay, you can live without a man. This is the reason why even for overage women, Islam does not permit, does not encourage single motherhood. Then my advice for single mothers, do not let us close our eyes to remarrying. Because as a Islam has put in place the marriage institution to remove some sins from our society. The importance of having two people bring up children cannot be overemphasized. The father has his role, the mother has her role. Even if there is an institution that gives you money to take care of them, the role of the father isn't just money. It goes beyond financial power. The father plays his role. You find it practically. Single mothers, if you go to schools, the children from single homes, from broken homes, they always have problems in the society. You see them having some vices because the father role is no longer there. So even for my people in diaspora, let us ensure that the marriage institution which Allah has put in place, let us respect it. If for whatever reason, whether as a divorcee or a widow, you are expected to remarry, for that institution that has been put in place by Allah, it is to remove some vices from the society. A single woman is open to zina, she's open to a lot of things. And the confidence for her to be able to take care of those children single-handedly is difficult. The role of the father is removed, and she cannot do it alone. She cannot do it alone. She cannot meet up with the ends meet. Psychologically, you find the children trying to, bring up some behavior that will let you know they need a father figure. The father figure importance is very, very important. That's why Islam allows polygamy. That if it happens that you're an overage lady, or you're a divorcee, or you're a widow, Islam allows men, it permits it for men who can fulfill all the conditions to marry you. So Islam discourages women, single women, because of all the harms attached to it. Whatever Islam has made lawful, it is because of the good things in it. Whatever Allah has prohibited or discouraged, it is because of the harm in it. A single mother is open to a lot of vices. The children are open to a lot of vices. For the children to grow up properly, they need to watch not only your own example, but the example of their father. Whether they are female children or male children, they need to watch your example, watch their father's example, for them to be able to be coordinated in the society. There's always a difference. If you see a child brought up by a single mother and a child brought up by two parents, the role of both in the life of those children cannot be overemphasized. So do not let us start living that, okay, the government will give me money to be able to live.
Yeah. And then I sent you another one of 2 drawings, which are what I
will be made up. The society is made up of family unit. Your family, my family. So if we do it well within each family, then our society will be better for it. So we need to be careful not to live and start thinking the role of men goes beyond the money, the financial capability. That upbringing role they play is important. And that void is always in children that grow up in broken homes. So let us guide it. Islam discourages it. Islam encourages marriage. That is why marriage is institution and so many things are permissible in Islam. The honor, the dignity of the family is important. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Yawa Savage, the issue of child support now.
Alhamdulillah, the advice to parents receiving child support. How can they bring up these children?
So
bẹ́ẹ̀ni wọ́n ní kí ni ìmọ̀ràn ta lè fún àwọn òbí tó ń dọ́mọ tọ́, particularly àwọn obìnrin tó ń dọ́mọ tọ́. Auzubillahi minash shaitani rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ọlọ́run ọba láàánú, ọba látìlẹ́yìn, ọba tí kò ní mọ̀ ọ́n ṣe, ó ṣàánú wa, ó fi wá lọ́kàn balẹ̀. Torí pé kí ni nǹkan tí àwọn màmá fi tì sí ni máa ti bẹ̀rẹ̀. Lóòótọ́ lọ́dọ̀ tí wá ń bí èmi ti ṣiṣẹ́ bẹ̀, mo ti sanwó fáwọn tí wọ́n jẹ́ civil parents as a civil servant. Lóòótọ́ ìjọba ṣètò ètò ní o, wọ́n ṣètò pé torí pé tó bá di pé àsìkò kan wà dé pé ó ṣe pé ọkọ ṣaláìsí ni àbí èdè àìyedè dé tó di pé ìyàwó òlówó tó máa fi tọ́mọ, àwọn á sanwó láti pé kó máa fi jẹun. Àwọn nǹkan tó di àṣà wípé mi ò wá fọkọ mọ́, ìjọba ń sanwó fún mi. Ṣùgbọ́n bí àwọn màmá wa ṣe sọ, tó bá di pé wá jókòó tẹ̀bà tí pé ìjọba ń sanwó fún mi, mi ò fọkọ mọ́, mi ò nílò ọkọ, èmi màá dọ́mọ tọ́, ó léwu. Ewu bẹ́ẹ̀ dẹ̀ pọ̀ báwọn màmá wa ṣe sọ. Ewu bẹ́ẹ̀ pọ̀ torí pé láti rí ọmọ tọ́ pé àdágbé àdásọ̀ lórí owó ìjọba ń san fún ẹ má jà tanra wa. Nǹkan tó wà lẹ́yìn ẹ̀fà ṣe jùlọ. Èmi pé owó tíjọba ń san, owó oúnjẹ ni o, kò ká bá kò káwò. Ṣùgbọ́n káwọn má bàa jalè nínú òyìnbó wípé mi ò rówó oúnjẹ, mi ò lè raṣọ, ìjọba fún wọn lówó. Láti wá rí ọmọ tán lẹ́ni tó bá jẹ́ kó jókòó tẹ̀bà sí pé ìjọba sanwó fún mi, mo dẹ̀ ti gbowó bàbá, kò sí ẹni tó lè mú mi mọ́. Àti rọ́mọ tó ó dọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run, ó dọ́wọ́ kọ̀ọ̀kan. Èmi máa ń cancel against ti gbogbo ìgbà ni. Orí Ọlọ́run má jẹ́ ká rádò òtọ́jú wa lọ. Àsìkò máa wà tó jẹ́ pé bóyá àìbá àwọn ọkọ ṣàárẹ̀ ó wá di pé ìgbà èrò dé ìjọba tó oníkàlùkù dá wà. Ètò tíjọba ṣe ètò wípé ẹ máa fi yanjú ara yín ní pé ká ẹ jókòó síbẹ̀ permanently. It's a temporary measure. So káyọ̀ pé àwọn afẹ́ jókòó tì láti máa tọ́mọ nílùú òyìnbó tí ọmọ ò bá kẹ́gbẹ́kẹ́gbẹ́ díẹ̀ ló máa kù torí ojú méjì ló ń tọ́mọ ojú méjì ló bímọ ojú méjì ló ń tọ́mọ tó bá dẹ̀ sọ pé owó bàbá kò lè bọ́ ọmọ kò lè bọ́ ìyá àwọn ọmọ sì gbogbo ẹ̀ lọ́dẹ̀ mọ̀ the light of social media wọ́n fẹ́ tẹ́gbọ́n fẹ́ jẹgbẹ́ lọ tí ò bá dẹ̀ lè tọ́ ọmọ yẹn dáadáa tákù ò bá ka ọmọ yẹn á yẹ̀yẹ̀ kó yà. So ìmọ̀ràn fún àwọn òbí báwọn ìyá wa ṣe sọ ìmọ̀ràn tá a máa tẹnu mọ́ ni lóòótọ́ a lè rádòwò tẹ́ pé ọkọ lè kọ̀ wá lóòótọ́ ọkọ lè kú àbí èdè àìdè kan lè wà tẹ́ pé àwa yẹra fúnra wa yóò wá ní pé ká lọ jókòó ká tẹ̀bà sórí pé ìjọba ń sanwó fún un fẹ́ ṣe single parent. Ìmọ̀ràn mi ní fún àwọn ìyá wa tọ́lọ́ bá ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ fún pé kọ́ ṣe sùúrù kọ́ wá fi ètò sí i pé nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ máa ṣe yìí kì í ṣe nǹkan tí máa ṣe láéláé o tí máa jókòó sí a máa fi làákàyè gbé ni ká má sọ pé owó baba la máa gbà títí ọjọ́ ayé kò dẹ̀ sẹ́ tó lè fún mi torí àwọn ọmọ yẹn gan lọ́la wa àwọn ọmọ yẹn lòkó wa a dẹ̀ láti kọ́ wọn lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ yìí pé yìí ṣe nǹkan tí wọ́n gbọ́dọ̀ bá ní pé báwọn ìyá wa ṣe sọ we are role models to our children tí a bá jókòó tí tá a ṣiṣẹ́ tá a ṣe kankan kí lẹ̀kọ́ tá à ń kọ́ wọn kí ni ẹ̀kọ́ tá à ń kọ́ kí là á fi wọ̀n wọ́n torí wọ́n ní nǹkan tá a bá ṣe làwọn ọmọ máa kọ́ tó bá lọ́wọ́ wa tí ìyá bá jókòó tí ò lọ́kọ ṣé a fẹ́ káwọn ọmọ yẹn náà lọ́kọ lọ́jọ́ iwájú nìyẹn tó a máa wò pé ìyá mi ò lọ́kọ kí lèmi náà fẹ́ lọ́kọ fún adẹ̀ ń jẹun aláti fi ètò sí i pé lóòótọ́ àdánwò lè dé situation lè wà tẹ́ pé ayára fúnra wa kò ṣe kọ́ tá máa tẹ̀bà sí tá máa sọ pé àwa fẹ́ sọ di career we must not make it a career torí àwọn èèyàn ti fi single parent ní ìlú òyìnbó be it in America in Canada and UK particularly in UK wọ́n ti fi bà obìnrin jẹ́ wọ́n ti fi bà ọmọlúwàbí jẹ́ àwa tá jẹ́ abilékọ tápàtó àlékọ a máa cancel wọn pé look it is not a permanent situation for you to live on benefit especially tọ́lọ̀ bá bùkún tó yẹ pé oníṣẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ó lálàáfíà lóòótọ́ o lè máa ṣiṣẹ́ dẹ́pọ̀ owó yẹn kíkọ but wàá yí wọn to show your children the good role model pé iṣẹ́ lóògùn ṣẹ́ iṣẹ́ lóògùn ṣẹ́ a dẹ̀ fẹ́ kọ́ ọmọ wa ṣoríire a fẹ́ kọ́ ọmọ wa mọ̀ yìí lẹ́yìn ọ̀la kan marry kan ní good home àwọn ọkùnrin míì mo ti gbọ́ àwọn ọkùnrin tó sọ pé àwọn ọmọ tó bá wá láti single parent pé àwọn ò lè fẹ́ wọn àwọn ọkùnrin míì máa ń sọ ni so we have to plan ahead for our children's future kàbárò yìí pé mo wà ń lo òyìnbó mo níwèé gbèlú mo ń gbowó bàbá that's the end of the day we have to think about our children impact lórí àwọn ọmọ wa ó wà very important báwọn ìyá wa ṣe sọ torí pé kí ni nígbà tá a bá jókòó sílé tá a ṣiṣẹ́ tá a kàn ń jáde tá a ń wọlé kí làwọn ọmọ yẹn ń rí kí la fi lé wọn lọ́wọ́ ètò wo la fi fún wọn ìmọ̀ràn wo la fẹ́ fún wọn wọn lè gbọ́ràn sí wa lẹ́nu àwọn ọmọ yẹn ò ní gbọ́ràn sí wa lẹ́nu a dẹ̀ fẹ́ káwọn ọmọ wájú àwọn tó gbọ́ràn àwọn ọmọ tó máa tọ́ka sí pé ọmọ dáadáa ni àmì ọmọ dáadáa ni pé báyìí ni nígbà tí tóbìnrin ò bá ṣàárẹ̀ tí ò lè ní nǹkan tó ń bàjà pé ó lárùn kan tí ò lè ṣiṣẹ́ bó ti wù kó rí iṣẹ́ kékeré kan ó yẹ kó ṣe é ó máa fi build ara ẹ̀ up slowly which is why I sọ pé àdìbẹ̀rẹ̀ pé you might claim benefit but it's a temporary measure ìjọba ò ní pé permanent measure ni but àwọn kan tí wàá sọ di pé dandan bẹ́ẹ̀ni máa jókòó sí kò sẹ́ni tó lè mú mi kì í ṣe àṣà wa kókó nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ yọ ọ́nbẹ̀ nìyẹn kì í ṣe àṣà wa kéèyàn ọ̀dọ́mọ tán bí báyà wáyé ṣe sọ Islam ò lọ́wọ́ sí i tó tí àdánwò bá dé ká ní sùúrù ká gbé yẹ̀ wò kí ni àtúnṣe torí pé we are role models we have to show good example we have to lay good foundation we have to make our children understand yìí pé iṣẹ́ lóògùn iṣẹ́ salamu alaikum wa rahmatulahi wa barakatu.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatulahi wa barakatu. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ìyá wa Bilkis Savage láti London. Àwọn náà ṣó wípé n tí a bá ń sọ àwọn náà gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ a rí Yorùbá tó dán lẹ́nu wọn dáadáa. Ó fi hàn pé culture tí àwa náà ń sọ wà very very important because if America can be paying Yoruba people that can speak Yoruba fluently for 1 hour. Somebody sanwó fún wọn. Ẹni tó bá lè sọ Arabic, tó bá lè sanwó fún. Ẹni tó bá lè sọ Spanish, tó bá lè sanwó fún. Pidgin English gan, wọ́n ti sanwó fún rí. Wọ́n yẹ̀ ṣe stop ẹ ni. Gbé tó bá ti lè sọ èdè ìlú ẹ̀, àwọn á sanwó fún ẹ. Láwa ní káràmásìkì culture wa, ní káràmásìkì ibi tí a ti wá, kí Ọlọ́run bá ṣe dáadáa fún yín. Ọlọ́run la hawla wala quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim. Ìyá wa láti Canada, ẹ já gbọ́ Yorùbá tí náà ká wo bí ó ṣe dùn sí, kẹ́ ẹ kọ́kọ́ fi bá a dáhùn ẹ̀ náà, inshallah. Bismillah.
Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The question tí wọ́n put síwájú mi is advising a husband that is paying child support.
Nah.
So first and foremost, we don't know àmọ́ nǹkan tí ó fa kí ó fa èdè àìyedè yẹn ní àárín the husband and the wife tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀. So sometimes the relationship kì í máa wà cordial after the separation, and it will really affect the child toward the marriage. So therefore, the first thing that I will talk about is forgiveness. You know, if we want the best for this child. Like we said, you know, rearing children, aspect of life. So if you want the good for the child, I will implore the two people to forgive and forget. They may not necessarily come back together, but for the sake of the child, they need to be able to have a cordial relationship so that they can raise that child to become somebody in life. Mommy rightly mentioned, from broken homes. One man read difference in Lara, even in school, one man low. We mentioned it in the first program, what I shared. Children from broken homes, but what they were liable, you know, of dying from all sorts of things, you know, from smoking, having pure bad gangs and stuff like that. But they are liable to die from all sorts of things, you know, than from ilé tó jẹ́ pé àwọn òbí méjèèjì wọn papọ̀ fúnra wọn. And then we mentioned that time too pé àwọn obìnrin yẹn gan tó jẹ́ single, wọ́n wà liable to domestic violence ju àwọn tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n wà ní ilé ọkọ lọ. And Ànábì náà sọ pé ẹni tí ò bá marry kò sí lára àwọn ìjọ òun. So fún ọkùnrin yẹn, it's going to be very tough. It's going to be very hard because he is paying child support. So he believes that ìyá yẹn ó ti ń gba gbogbo ẹ̀tọ́ ọmọ yẹn lọ́wọ́ títí òun. He wouldn't want to have anything to do with the child, and that would be to the detriment of the child. So what the man can do is to forgive the woman. You know, kó forgive woman yẹn, kó lè tọ́ ọmọ yẹn dáadáa, because ọmọ yẹn náà orúkọ ẹ̀ ló máa jẹ́. And if that right turn, you know, irresponsible in the nearest future, ó máa affect òun náà. Kò sí òbí tó fẹ́ gbàdúrà pé kí ọmọ òun kó má ṣe dáadáa. We all want to see our children grow. We all want to see our children in good places. And then we all want to be, you know, happy. Oh, I have raised this child, you know, the way and manner that is supposed to be. So, to my to forgive any whatever one arrangements the way they want to bring the child up. So, iṣẹ́ àwọn méjèèjì ni láti tọ́ ọmọ dáadáa. Tí ó bá jẹ́ pé wọ́n ní arrangement pé bóyá ọmọ máa ń wá sí ọ̀dọ̀ bàbá at so time, or ó máa wà ní ọ̀dọ̀ ìyá at so time. So whatever tí bàbá yẹn bá fẹ́ kọ́mọ yẹn kó jẹ́, you know, I invite best in ọmọ yẹn, you know, like setting rules, you know, setting boundaries, you know, telling the child, you know, when you are with me, this is what I want. This is the way you can dress. This is the way you cannot dress. When it is time for salah, it is time for salah. Everything has to be on check. When we are going out, we cannot dress like this. You cannot dress like that. when you go out with so and so, the latest time you can come back home is this. You know, then you set our rules in your silly, and then you carry the woman along too. This is what I want for this child. Relationship on your alewa for the sake of the child. And then even you are paying, let the wife know or let the woman know. You know what? I'm not going to stop paying you the child support. I'm not going to go back on it. I am saying this just for the sake of the child. I want you to work together with me so that we can bring up this child, you know, to become somebody good in life. But forgive her, that would be so difficult for them to do, and it will be so detrimental to the life of the child, you know, now or later.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ibo lẹ ti ń pè wá, kí lórúkọ yín o?
Alhaji Sari Oluwanbe ni láti Canada sir.
Naam. Alhaji Oluwanbe láti Canada. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam sir. Kí lẹ ní sir? Ẹ kú ṣé sir.
Alhamdulillah, ẹ ṣé mà.
Yes sir. Mo kàn fẹ́ touch up lórí nǹkan tí wọ́n sọ lórí question yẹn ni pé kí àwọn alájà kan bá fi kún fún àwọn ìyá wa kọ́ máa ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ sùúrù fi ń pọ̀ jù, because the way they set up, especially àwọn táwọn ní diaspora táwọn ní Canada, US or America, the way the government set up the system here is tí ọkùnrin bá ti ń san child support, ọkùnrin yẹn gan kò lè stable mọ́, because part of his livelihood náà máa gbà at least almost everything nípa láìpẹ́ yẹn náà máa gbà. So, and also forgiveness, it will take that man a long time to forgive that woman or the child tó sanwó lórí ẹ̀. So nǹkan tí mo ń try láti sọ ni pé tí àwọn màmá àwọn obìnrin wa kọ́ máa ṣọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ sùúrù. And láàmú kọ́ wa ni pé there's so many ways tí relationship tí wàhálà bá ṣẹlẹ̀ ní relationship téèyàn lè gbà láti resolve it than going to the government. The government should be the last option to be my state lórí ọ̀rọ̀ marriage dissolution. So ìyẹn ni mo fẹ́ sọ pé kọ́ bá àtúbọ̀ emphasize lórí point yẹn pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ sùúrù because ó máa ń really affect àwọn ọkùnrin wa a lot.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ẹ ṣé gan, Ọlọ́run bá tún bá fi kún làákàyè yín ilal amami insha Allah. Ìbéèrè yìí tí ó lọ sí ọ̀dọ̀ Alhaja wa Sadiyat Abdulaziz Oníkẹ́. Ìbéèrè yìí ó ní in developing country bá ṣe wà níbí báyìí nísìnyí, àwọn ọmọ àbí àwọn kan máa ń dọ̀bálẹ̀ fóbi, they prostrate, they kneel down, tí wọ́n máa ń kí wọn, sign of respect. Táwọn òbí yẹn ṣe ń wo pé kí wọ́n má gbàgbé culture wọn, kí wọ́n má gbàgbé ibi tí wọ́n ti wá, to greet elders. Why some don't? Gẹ́gẹ́ bí àwọn kan tí wọ́n gbọ́ pé kò bá culture mu ni àbí kò bá kankan mu ni, pé as a parent, how do we deal with this situation? Torí ẹlòmíà kan wà lórí ìyá ẹ̀ báyìí náà ni pé kò ní lè mọ bó ṣe máa kúnlẹ̀, kò sí lè mọ bó ṣe máa dọ̀bálẹ̀. Bọ́ọ̀lù àti fẹ́ deal pẹ̀lú irú nǹkan báyìí tó jẹ́ pé nígbà tá a sì wà nílé á kí àwọn òbí wa àti sign of respect láti lè kí wọn. Ẹlòmíà àti mami hi ó ti ń lọ náà nìyẹn, àbí àwọn èdè míì tí wọ́n máa ń pè tí ò lọ bó ṣe yẹ kó lọ, tí àwa tí most of the people tó dẹ̀ wà ní diaspora tó máa ń rí ọmọ ẹlòmíì pé kò tiẹ̀ mójú, ẹni tí ò lè kíyàn, ẹni tí ò lè dọ̀bálẹ̀, ẹni tí ò lè kúnlẹ̀, tó kàn ń ṣe bí pé ńgbà tó ti dé Amẹ́ríkà bó ti dé diaspora tán ó ti wá di nǹkan míì. Ẹ bá bójú wo eléyìí, kí ni òbí ṣe lè deal pẹ̀lú irú eléyìí, àbáwọn elders in the community báwo la ṣe lè deal pẹ̀lú ẹ̀? Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Naam.
Tá a bá wo ọ̀rọ̀ kíkíyàn nínú Islam, pé bí Yorùbá ṣe máa ń kí àwọn èèyàn pé obìnrin á kúnlẹ̀, ọkùnrin á dọ̀bálẹ̀. Tá a bá wo lóòótọ́ nínú ẹ̀sìn Islam, àwọn ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n kan wà tán ní kò bá ìtọ̀nà Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wọ́n ní ó lọ rí àwọn kí àwọn èèyàn pé wọ́n ń dọ̀bálẹ̀ fáwọn olórí wọn. Tí wọ́n ní bó ṣe wá padà dọ́dọ̀ ànábì òun náà bá ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ láti kí ànábì sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wọ́n lánàá bí sàṣà wá sọ pé níbo ló tún ti rí eléyìí tó wá sọ wá lóṣù òun ò fẹ́ kí kọ́ máa dọ̀bálẹ̀ kí òun àbí kéèyàn máa fi wọ́n ní ìgbà yẹn wọ́n lọ́ máa forí kanlẹ̀ wọ́n á tún kí ìsílẹ̀ pẹ̀lú láti kí olórí. Wọ́n ní ànábì sàṣà wá sọ pé òun ò fẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀. Táwọn lára àwọn ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n Islam tán wá mú yẹn láti fi ṣe ẹ̀rí pé kéèyàn mọ́mọ́ kúnlẹ̀ kéèyàn mọ́mọ́ dọ̀bálẹ̀. Wọ́n á tún ráwọn kan náà táwọn pé òkè gbogbo téèyàn bá ń ṣe pátá kí ni ìdí tó wà lọ́kàn tí èèyàn fi ṣe. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni pé bí ẹni pé èèyàn ń sin olórí ni tó bá di pé ẹ tó wá ń dọ̀bálẹ̀ débi pé ẹ tó wá ń fi ẹnu kan ilẹ̀ lórí pé ẹlẹ́yìn ṣe àpọ́nlé pé àpọ́nlé yẹn ti ń jọ bí ẹni pé èèyàn ń sin olórí pé Ọlọ́run nìkan ni ọba tí ẹ̀dá gbọ́dọ̀ sí. Pé ká ló bá yẹ ni pé kí ẹ̀dá ó sin ẹ̀dá bí ẹgbẹ́ ẹ̀ pé òun ò bá pàṣẹ pé kí obìnrin máa sin ọkọ ẹ̀. Àwọn tó wá sọ àwọn ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n tó wá sọ pé ìdí ni kéèyàn ó wò pé kí ni ìdí tí Yorùbá ṣe ń kúnlẹ̀ kí ni ìdí tí Yorùbá ṣe ń dọ̀bálẹ̀ kí òbí àbí kí àwọn àgbààgbà pé bọ̀wọ̀ fún èèyàn ni kì í ṣe pé bóyá èèyàn fi sin ẹni yẹn. Táwọn tó wá sọ pé èèyàn lè kúnlẹ̀ èèyàn lè bẹ̀rẹ̀ èèyàn lè tẹríba láti fi kíyàn pé ìdí téèyàn fi ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ kì í ṣe pé bóyá èèyàn sin ẹni yẹn bí a ṣe mọ̀ pé àwọn èèyàn kan máa ń sin àwọn olórí ẹ̀sìn wọn. Pé tó ìdí tí Yorùbá ní pé obìnrin kúnlẹ̀ láti fi ṣàpọ́nlé ẹni tó jù lọ láti fi ṣàpọ́nlé òbí ọkùnrin ń dọ̀bálẹ̀ láti fi ṣàpọ́nlé ẹni tó jù láti fi ṣàpọ́nlé àwọn òbí. A ti rí àwọn ilé tí kìíní yìí ti túká tó fẹ́yàwó délé tíyàwó ní òun ò lè kúnlẹ̀ kí àwọn ẹbí ọkọ òun kí ìyá ọkọ kí bàbá ọkọ táwọn ẹbí ọkọ sì lè tán gbà láyè tó fi di pé ó padà di pé ìgbéyàwó yẹn túká. Ó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́dọ̀ yín lọ́hùn ó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Nàìjíríà ni. Ètò wa ni pé kí ni ìdí téèyàn fi ń kúnlẹ̀ kí ni ìdí téèyàn fi ń dọ̀bálẹ̀ láti fi kí àwọn èèyàn. Àṣà titi wa nílẹ̀ Yorùbá nìyẹn. Ìdí tàdé fi ń ṣe ni pé a fi ń ṣe àpọ́nlé kì í ṣe pé bóyá a fi ń sin báwọn tí bí yẹn ṣe ń lo tiwọn láti fi sin olórí ẹ̀sìn wọn. So àwọn nǹkan lè fẹ́ bá a gbọ́dọ̀ fi kọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa. Tí ẹ bá wò ní Èkó bíbá yìí Nasfat ti ṣe train the trainers course in Dawa and Dialogue. Àwọn àfáà wa àti púpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn wa náà látòkè òkun láti Canada láti America àti London náà lọ darapọ̀ mọ́ prógráàmù yẹn. Tí àwọn òbí bá mọ kí ni ẹ̀sìn sọ gangan kí ni ìdí tó rọ̀ mọ́ gbogbo àwọn ètò yìí gbogbo àwọn ìdájọ́ yìí tí àwọn ọmọ wa bá gbérù àṣà yìí wálé à lè ṣàlàyé fún wọn kí tí èèyàn bá mọ̀ ló máa fi kọ́ ọmọ ètò èèyàn ò bá mọ̀ èèyàn ò lè fi kọ́ ọmọ. Tí ìyá bá mọ ìmọ̀ nípa ẹ̀sìn wa délẹ̀ koroke àti gbogbo tá à ń ṣe nínú ẹ̀sìn kí ni ìdí tá a fẹ́ ṣe tí bàbá náà mọ̀ à lè fi àwọn ìmọ̀ yìí mọ àwọn ọmọ wa à lè jẹ́ káwọn ọmọ wọn kọ́ ìmọ̀ gidi wọn kàn ní ìmọ̀kímọ̀ níta tó máa jẹ́ pé kò ní lọ papọ̀ mọ́ àṣà titi wa. Tó bá mọ ìdí tá a fi ń ṣe táwọn òbí wa náà tí gbogbo wa náà bá kọ́ ìmọ̀ Islam tá a mọ gbogbo àwọn ìmọ̀ à lè fi ìmọ̀ yìí mọ àwọn ọmọ wa. Ó jẹ́ kókó ká fi kọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa pé kán mọ̀ bí ó ṣe bí àṣà wa ní kóbìnrin ó kúnlẹ̀ kí òbí kọkùnrin ó dọ̀bálẹ̀ láti kí òbí ibikíbi tá a bá ti bá ara wa a gbọ́dọ̀ sọ àṣà wa nù. Ìmọ̀ yìí dẹ̀ jẹ́ tó jẹ́ kókó Ànábì sallallahu alaihi wasallam sọ fún wa pé tọ̀lábò ilimi fàrídọ́tò alákùnrin muslim àtọkùnrin àtobìnrin ní ìmọ̀ Ànábì sallallahu alaihi wasallam sọ pé kókó ni tó jẹ́ tá a gbọ́dọ̀ mọ̀ ni ká mọ ìmọ̀ nípa Islam ká lè fi kọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa. Àwọn obìnrin náà sì la ní iṣẹ́ ìjù. Àwọn obìnrin ní ilé ẹ̀kọ́ táwọn ọmọ kọ́kọ́ bá pàdé. Atọ́kùnrin àti obìnrin ká kọ́ àwọn ìmọ̀ yìí ká lè fi kọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa ká fi yé wọn tó bá yé wọn tó bá mọ̀ ju tá a fi ń ṣe ẹnìkan ò kàn ní gbé ìmọ̀ kan wá láti ibìkan fún wọn kó gbà. Islam ló ní àpọ́nlé. Islam fẹ́ ká pọ́n àgbà lé kí ẹni tó wà lókè kó pọ́n ẹni tó wà nísàlẹ̀ lé kọkùnrin àti obìnrin ká jọ pọ́nra wa lé. Islam ló lápọ́nlé. Yorùbá náà àpọ́nlé náà ni. Gbogbo tó ìmọ̀ ta ní láti fi mọ àwọn ọmọ wa nìyẹn pé Islam ò lòdì sí ìdí tá a fi ń ṣe ni tọ́láwọn ìdáná bíi lòdì síjọ́ kìíní àná àwọn ń ṣe láti fi sin bí ẹni pé èèyàn fi ń sin olórí ẹ̀sìn wọn ni ìyẹn dẹ̀ kọ́ ni Yorùbá ń ṣe tí Yorùbá ń ṣe ni pé Yorùbá fi ń ṣe àpọ́nlé tá a ní láti fi kọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa kọ́ mọ́ bá dàbí ẹni àná kọ́ bá dé àárín àwọn èèyàn títí wọn.
Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ọlọ́run bá ṣe dáadáa fún àwọn ìyá wa ìbáríkà yìí àwọn ìyá àlùjẹ́nà ẹ ti bá dáhùn ẹ̀ ó sì yé yéké pé tí a bá ń kúnlẹ̀ tá a bá ń dọ̀bálẹ̀ ẹ̀sìn kọ́ ni o a fi ń ṣe tẹ̀kìrì ni a fi ń ṣe àpọ́nlé ni àtẹ́gìyà ni a fi ń kí wọn ni pé ó yẹ ká kí wọn Ọlọ́run náà dá sí ti ìyá wa yìí náà sọ nínú Suratul Baqara verse 22 and 25 tí a fi lé tí ìyá gbọ́ lẹ́nu ìyá wa oníkẹ́ ní àwọn ilé tí a ti ń kọ́ lẹ́nu wọn ó ní ba'da a'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim bismillahir rahmanir rahim ó ní la yu'a'izukumullahu bil-lagwi fi aymanikum walakin yu'a'izukum bima kasabati qulubukum wallahu ghafurun halim. Ọlọ́run ní àti pàápàá gbogbo tí a bá ń sọ lẹ́nu wa tó yẹ pé ọ̀rọ̀ tó ń jáde lẹ́nu wa tó yẹ pé kò ń ṣe wípé ọ̀rọ̀ tí a ní tàn mọ́ fún tó yẹ pé intention wa clear ń pa ẹ̀ tá ń sọ jáde ní ìyàtọ̀ tó jẹ́ wá lórí ẹ̀ àyàfi tá a dì sọ́kàn tá a lérò pé ní ìgbà ìlú tá a tó fi ìyàwó kàn wá tẹ̀tẹ̀lẹ̀ lọ́lọ́run ó fi ṣe kí ni yóò fi ìyà yẹn jẹ wá Ọlọ́run bára láforíjì tó dẹ̀ ṣe kí ni tó nímọ̀ jùlọ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìyá wa ṣe sọ gbogbo bá a ṣe ń dọ̀bálẹ̀ kí àwọn èèyàn àníyàn kọ́bùlà àmà ó ti síwájú iṣẹ́ ká má lọ máa dorí àwọn ọmọ wa rú látara àwọn ìmọ̀ kan àbí ìmọ̀ kejì gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìyàwó oníkẹ́sì sọ fún wa a gbọ́dọ̀ kọ́ ọmọ wa wípé ìdọ̀bálẹ̀ ó yàtọ̀ fún ẹ̀sìn pé ká forí kanlẹ̀ lọ́lọ́run sọ isjudula Ádámù lọ́lọ́run sọ ó sọ fún Ádámù ní pé ó sọ fún àwọn màláíkà ní isjudula Ádámù ẹ forí balẹ̀ fún Ádámù ní títàpọ́nlé ibi tọ́lọ́run Suratul Hajj lọ́lọ́run ti sọ wípé tẹ bá fẹ́ kírun ó sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ti fẹ́ kírun ẹ kọ́ rùkù tẹ bá rùkù ẹ lọ forí kanlẹ̀ nítorí ìforí bí mo ṣe ní kẹ́ ṣe yẹn o fún ìbàdàt ni ó yàtọ̀ ló fi jẹ́ pé àwa tá ń gbọ́ wa ẹja káwọn ọmọ wa láṣà wa Nàìjíríà láti wá àwọn ẹlòmíì nínú àṣà wọn máa ń kìsì ẹyin jú báyìí nínú àṣà wọn bọra wọn lọ wọn so mọ́ra wọn ni ẹlòmíì nínú àṣà wọn lọlẹ̀ wọn bá burúburú fúnra wọn ni gbogbo oníkálukú ló ní àṣà tiẹ̀ bí wọ́n ṣe ń kí àwọn èèyàn wọ́n ṣe wá ń kí bá a ṣe ń kí àwọn àgbàlagbà tiwa ní pé kí obìnrin kúnlẹ̀ kọkùnrin dọ̀bálẹ̀ ìyẹn ò mí pé ìjọsìn ni eléyìí tí à ń ṣe fún wọn a gbọ́dọ̀ gbọ́ ẹ̀sìn wa yé dáadáa ká má máa wà ní apá kan torí Islam fẹ̀ akatira kan bí ó tún kàn bí ó tún ṣe bí ó tún ṣe bí kí a kàn máa rí ẹnìkan kó máa mú fàtúwà kan wá àbí kejì kò dáa tó a kí ìyá wa oníkẹ́ bí ẹ ṣe bá dáhùn ẹ̀ tó yé yéké Ọlọ́run bá dúró tì yín àti ìyá wa Biliki Savage Ọlọ́run bá gbàdúrà yín àti ìyá wa Akéwúṣọlá Ọlọ́run bá dúró tì yín Ọlọ́run ọlá hawla wala quwwata illa billahi alali tabara ní tí wọ́n ti fẹ́ béèrè question ẹ lè test question yín àbí kí ẹ tún pè wá kí ẹ béèrè ìbéèrè máa nítorí àsìkò máa tún lọ sọ́dọ̀ ìyá wa Biliki Savage inshallah tí a bá wò ó ipa wo ní in developing country like tá a bá wò ó ní Nàìjíríà for instance irú àwa báyìí tá a fi dàgbà àwọn ìyàwó mọ tíṣà wọn tẹ mọ school tí à ń lọ They don't attend their children's school meetings, don't know the companies of their children are keeping. What are the impacts will these activities have on the children and how can be rectified? Torí tá a bá ń wò ó, àwa máa ń diaspora bí wọ́n máa ń ràgàbọ̀ mọ́. Ṣùgbọ́n níbi tá a ti wá, báwo ni ìyẹn gan lè ṣe torí ẹ̀ mọ company tọmọ yín gbé ó mú gbó ni ó ń ṣe kí ni ká mọ̀ kí la lè ṣe sí ìyá wa.
Alhamdulillah, dúpẹ́ fọ́lọ́run. Not so much pé nílùú wa níbí báyìí náà àwọn parents míì náà wọn lọ sí parents evening, wọn lọ sí parents meeting.
Alájà bá jókòó dáadáa ká lè rojú yín dáadáa alájà bá gbé kílẹ̀ dáadáa.
Wọn ò mọ company tí àwọn ọmọ wọn ń keep. What is the impact of this attitude and how it can be rectified? Iṣẹ́ wà lọ́wọ́ òbí kọ́lọ̀ ń kọ́ àbọ̀ ṣe ni. Bá ń gbé Nàìjíríà, bá ń gbé Amẹ́ríkà, bá ń gbé Canada. Ara iṣẹ́ tá a pa ṣe ni pé kọ́lọ̀ ń gbà wá láyè, káà náà dẹ̀ fúnra wa láyè. Ó ṣe dandan, ó ṣe kókó parents evening that kí òbí máa lọ. I was a school governor for about 20 years, up till about 10 years ago. Ó máa ń ṣe mí láàánú pé àwọn ọmọ dúdú statistically, the statistics is there, the record is there. Àwọn ọmọ dúdú ni most of the time àwọn parents wọn ò kí lọ sí parents evening. Kí ló dé fà náà ju pé a wà labroad, gbọ́mi tí omi ò tó, ìyá ń ṣiṣẹ́, bàbá ń ṣiṣẹ́, ẹ bá ń ṣiṣẹ́, iṣẹ́ kan wá ní jẹ́ṣẹ́ kan náà, pẹ́lú mi bá ṣe wọlé ló ń jáde, àwọn akọ̀ wọ́n lè kọ̀ fáwọn ọmọ lóúnjẹ wọn jáde. Ẹlòmíì ò tiẹ̀ rántí yí pé parents evening date yẹn kò tiẹ̀ mọ̀. Parents evening is part of bringing up children. Wow, very, very important. It's part of raising your child. Báwo ló ṣe fẹ́ mọ̀ nǹkan tó go on ní school tó wà lọ sí parents evening? Báwo ló ṣe fẹ́ mọ̀ bóyá ọmọ yẹn ó tiẹ̀ lọ school? Báwo ló ṣe fẹ́ mọ̀ bóyá ọmọ tó lọ school yìí ṣó ní problem school? Ṣó lọ́rẹ̀ẹ́? Ta ló ń bá ṣe? Ta ló ń bá rìn? Àwọn kí náà ń kọ́? Ṣó wà ní the right level? Parents evening ni a ti máa get feedback pé ọmọdé yìí ó ní talent báyìí. Tó bá lọ lọ́wọ́ sọ pé teacher kó máa kàn sọ fún yín pé ọmọdé yìí ó good ní subject báyìí. Òbí mi ò mọ̀ yẹn. So kì í ṣe ní Nàìjíríà nìkan, kì í ṣe developing wọn, ó wà labroad gan torí pé ilé ayé ti change. Lóòótọ́ nígbà táwọn bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe sọ, mo rántí kọ́lọ̀ fún ọ̀rọ̀ káwọn àwọn òbí wa. Mo rántí gbà yẹn parents evening tẹ́ bá ti mú lẹ́tà wálé fàlàjì, bóyá àbúrò bàbá kan ló máa bá wa lọ. Pé ọjọ́ ìpàdé òbí o, dájú àní pé ẹ lọ fún lágbájá. Lábá tẹlifóònù yẹn ọlọ́jọ́ kó rántí. Ṣùgbọ́n láti táwa wà ń sìn, ìmọ̀ràn wa ní pé àwọn òbí, whether we live in Canada, Nigeria, UK, aláti fi ààyè yẹn sílẹ̀ fáwọn ọmọ wa. Lára ìfẹ́ tó máa fi hàn fáwọn ọmọ wa, a ṣe sọ síwájú rẹ̀ torí pé káwọn ọmọ máa rí pé àti ẹ̀fà yẹn lẹ̀, a lọ school wọn, inú wọn máa dùn pé kì í ṣe àwọn parents tèmi náà wá, wọn máa bára wọn sọ̀rọ̀. Pé àsìkò gbà tó yẹ kí parents wọn wá, àwọn ọmọdé yẹn máa sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́yìn, wọ́n máa ń text ara wọn, wọ́n mọ nǹkan tó go on. Wọ́n ṣe parents meeting ní oṣù yìí, ó wá. Wọ́n ṣe ní second term, ó wá. Wọ́n ṣe ní third term, ó wá. Torí pé iṣẹ́ yìí náà ni àbí díkan ìdí méjì èèyàn fàyè yẹn lẹ̀. Aláti fàyè ẹ̀ lẹ̀, ká wá mú níṣẹ́, ká bìkítà débi pé ká mú níṣẹ́ pé ó máa wà nínú part of our diary, máa wà ní part of our commitment pé àsìkò báyìí o, kó kàrá àgbìdá kéèyàn fi ṣẹlẹ̀ ńjọ́ yẹn kó gba time off. Bó dẹ̀ ti ṣe é sí ní ayé ti lajú pé wọ́n as a parent ó lè tọrọ ààyè níbi iṣẹ́, ó lè tọrọ ààyè tó bá ti mọ déètì yẹn. That's why pé àwọn school àti sọ fún yín at least ó kéré jù 4 weeks in advance. Tí wọ́n ti mọ̀ pé gbogbo òbí ló ń ṣiṣẹ́. Ìjọ báyìí ni o, àsìkò báyìí ni o. Akọláyẹ ti bára yín sọ̀rọ̀, ìwọ ló máa lọ o. Ìwọ ló máa gba half day ni o. Ìdádì ló máa gba half, ẹ ti bára yín sọ. Ẹ ti bára yín sọ. Ó ṣe pé owó half day lẹ máa lose ẹ̀yà torí pé ọmọ yẹn náà ẹnu àtúndù yìí pé àwọn òbí mi fàyè lẹ̀ lára ìfẹ́ tán ní sí mi. wọ́n wá bá mi ṣe tèmi ó ṣe kókó ṣe pàtàkì kò wá ṣe torí pé ọmọ ò ní bàbá láyé àbọ̀ ọmọ ò ní ìyá láyé àní fi ṣiṣẹ́ ṣe torí mo tún fẹ́ draw attention wa sí yẹn bàbá yẹn kọ́ ọmọ yẹn láàkì pé orí àwọn ìgbà míì wà tẹ́ pé nǹkan máa ṣe sábàbí torí a sọ̀rọ̀ single parent nǹkan máa ṣe sábàbí pé pé bàbá mi àti ìyá mi wà together ni àwọn òbí mi máa wá àwọn carers àwọn tó bá jẹ́ carers gan lára tẹ́ pé ẹ̀gbọ́n ni àbúrò ni ẹbí ni ará lójújùmọ̀ ni tó ń look after ọmọ tẹ́ pé àwọn ọmọ tẹ́ pé wọn ò tí ì gbọ́njú wọ́n sì wà ní primary and secondary school when it comes to parents meeting we really need to give it priority. It's an important priority that we need to prioritize. Ọlọ́run kọ́ wa yí pé gbogbo àsìkò àwọn ọmọ wa láti jẹ́ priority wa. Àwọn ọmọ láti jẹ́ nǹkan tá a máa ojúmọ́ wa tẹ́ pé ara ẹ̀kọ́ tá a máa kọ́ wọn tá a bá lọ tó bá sọ nǹkan fún wa àtúmù yẹn lò bá ṣe máa ṣe. Torí tá a bá máa lọ sí parents meeting bá ṣe sọ ó máa ń fàyè ẹ̀ lẹ̀ pé àwọn teacher tẹ́ pé wọ́n máa wò pé àwọn òbí yóò bìkítà òbí wọ́n á dẹ̀ máa ṣèyí tó wù wọ́n pẹ̀lú àwọn ọmọ yẹn wọ́n lè yẹ pé ọmọ tó yẹ pé ó good wọn ò tiẹ̀ ní kọ́ bí ara sí ní school but tó bá róbìnrin tó lọ tó ń béèrè questions tó ń lọ tó ń béèrè questions báwo ló ṣe ṣe ń bì báyìí kí lẹ lè ṣe sí ìwọ àti òbí ìwọ àti teacher ẹ jọ gbímọ̀ràn yẹn pé bóyá credit ló gbà báwo ló ṣe lè gba b báwo ló ṣe lè gba a wọ́n á sọ fún yín wọ́n á ṣàlàyé ẹ̀ bóyá ká ra àwé ni bóyá kó ṣe lẹ́sìn ni bóyá káwọn fún ní extra tutor ni bóyá kó join club ni ẹ jọ gbìmọ̀ràn ẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n tá a bá fààyè parent meeting rẹ̀ bá la ṣe fẹ́ mọ̀ ó ṣe kókó ṣe pàtàkì impact ẹ̀ ọjọ́ iwájú náà ni torí ibi tí ọlọ́ba kò go àwọn ọmọ wa ọmọ mi wà vulnerable tẹ́ pé àìbìkítà yìí pé parent ò tiẹ̀ fààyè ẹ̀ lẹ̀ kò ní bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wọn kan sọ̀rọ̀ á quiet á kò máa lọ school ní inú ò ní dùn kò dẹ̀ ní sọ̀rọ̀ síta so ẹ̀kọ́ wà ń bẹ̀ fún wa ká máa lọ sí parent ẹ̀kọ́ gidi ó dẹ̀ ṣe pàtàkì kì í ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ ní owó mo fẹ́ fún àwọn èèyàn wa nímọ̀ràn